name is Julie, and on this channel, we talk about all things self improvement and becoming the best version of ourselves. So, welcome. And today's topic is about the need to do too many things and that not everything is worth doing. Now, a lot of the concepts and the ideas came about after I read the book 4,000 Weeks. 4,000 Weeks is by Oliver Berkman, and I'll put a link to that in um, the box at the bottom. But it's basically a premise of time management for mere mortals. Now, I am most definitely a mere mortal. And I'm always obsessed with finding the best way to do something, hence this channel. How can I be the best version of me? And as I go along, I realize that sometimes I put too much pressure on myself, and that actually being the best version of myself is not about being perfect. It's not about doing all the things. In fact, it's about doing less. It's about doing that which actually brings me joy, that which I get energy by doing. And so, part of my process, especially as I mentioned, we are hurtling towards the end of 2023, and it's been a challenging year for me. It started off quite well, but then it went downhill quite rapidly. And February and March were very difficult for me. And I struggled to get out of bed. I struggled to find my hope for the future. I struggled for that optimism. And when you're just surviving, you can't do it all. You have to really narrow your focus. And one of the things that I found that helped me to get through that time was to set myself just one task for the day. What is the bare minimum I will do today? And part of my bare minimum was to get out of bed and open the curtain. That was it. That was the only thing I set myself an expectation of doing. That was my to do list. But what I found is that even when I was really struggling, physically getting out of bed and opening the curtain allowed me to see outside. And generally, I live in a tropical country, so it's very rare that it's not sunny. And so I could get out of bed in the morning and look out the window, and it was sunny. And even if it wasn't, it's still, thunder. If it's a thunderstorm, it's still quite exciting. And just that physical act was enough to get me started. And so rather than focusing on all the things that I was supposed to do, I instead just thought, well, what is one thing that if I did it now would create less anxiety in myself? And that was all I would do. So then I would do that next thing. When that was done, I'd think, okay, well, what is the next thing that if I did it, I would feel better? It would make me happy. Now, sometimes it might be something like just writing. I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to write a couple of articles for Medium, generally about how I was feeling. Sort of getting the emotions on the page. But also just doing that, it meant that at the end of the day, I had done something. I had 400-500 words maybe written about a topic, and then I could share it with other people and get feedback. Another day, one of the bare minimum things that I was to do, I'd got out of bed and I'd been texting with my husband, and I had a mole on my face that was looking weird. It kept bleeding. So my minimum thing that day was to go to the doctor's. That was it. I'd got out of bed, I'd opened the curtains, and I thought, what is one thing I really need to do today? And I went to the doctor's. I made the appointment. I went to the doctor's. I'm also very fortunate. I live in a country where medical care is affordable and it is also convenient. So I only had to walk 10 minutes around the corner from my house to attend a doctor's appointment, which I was able to get sort of 20 minutes after I'd called. So I went to see the doctor, and she was concerned about it, so she gave me a referral to the dermatologist. So as I'm walking back, my energy levels are really low. And I thought, look, I'll just make the appointment for the dermatologist. The thought of going out again made me feel absolutely exhausted, but I thought I will feel better if I have an appointment in the calendar. So again, I followed through, and so some days just going to the dermatologist was the one thing I was going to do that day. And it turned out it was a good thing that I did it, because it was a cancerous uh, lesion, and so they were able to remove it. No further work needed. But it's interesting that at that time when everything was so difficult, my one thing that I did really helped me to focus on what was my highest priority. And then obviously, one of the things that happened is my mental health improved. So, of course, I started to do more things. And that to do list kept getting bigger and more extensive. And I really then overwhelmed myself, which I'm very good at doing. So again, I've had to remind myself not everything is worth doing, and that really the best thing I can do in my day-to-day task association is I sit down in the morning and I do just a one-page thought dump. And at that time, I'm able to sort of clarify what it is maybe that I want to do that day. So then I go and have a look at my to-dos. And I was feeling a bit lazy this morning, so this is an ongoing thing for me. And I thought, right, I'm going to take the day off. Not the day, the morning. I've got work in town this afternoon. And so I thought, right, I'm just going to take the day off, take it easy. I've had a busy week. I'm okay. But I started the day off with a call. It's one of my favorite calls of the week, where I talk to a lady in the States and we do some writing prompts. So she puts the prompt in the chat, 20, 30 minutes, we do our typing, and then we come back and we share what we've written. So it's always a little creativity boost to the day, and it always fills me with a little bit of energy. So even though I'd woken up feeling quite lazy, I thought, okay, well, I've done that. Why don't I just do my journaling? So then, of course, I did my journaling. By the time I'd finished that, I thought, well, if I don't do anything, that's fine. I'm allowed to do that. But I would feel better if I just knocked off a couple of these emails. So they all took about less than 5 minutes. And in total, I think I spent maybe 15 minutes on it. But having ticked off those items, I then thought, right, I've done the critical tasks. The other stuff can wait a little bit longer. And then I thought, well, I really want to get out and have a swim. It's a good thing. It actually does make me feel better. And I asked my son, I'm like, do you want to go for a swim with me? So we wandered off, we did our swim, we came back. And then I'm like, well, look, if I'm getting dressed to go out anyway, I may as well sit down and do a quick video. And so this is just the sort of thing that if you can just focus on what right now is the bare minimum, if I get to the end of the day and this is the only thing I've done, then I will be okay. From there, you can say, okay, you get a little energy boost because you've done the bare minimum, you've done something, you've taken that forward momentum. Then you can work with that momentum. It's easier to keep going once you've got over the hump. And so do something that is either creating you anxiety, creating that you've kind of left a little too long and it's starting to bug you. Do something that if you could just do it, you would feel better. If it takes less than 5 minutes, just do it. And in this way, I've got to almost lunchtime and I've actually achieved a lot. And so it's then, okay, I do this video. What after this will make me feel most happy? What will bring me the most amount of benefit? And I just keep doing this till I get to the end of the day. Now, there is nothing wrong with going, you know what? Actually, the best thing I can do for myself right now is to sit on the couch and relax, because we need to do that as well. And that is nothing that you have to justify. It is fine to do. And if that's what you need, then please do so. I know there are times when I am so overwhelmed by everything that I need to sit down and I just need to take a moment. But then once I've done that, what will bring me the greatest reward if I do it right now? And try not to get overwhelmed by all the shoulds. We're very good at, I should be doing this, I should be doing this, I should be maximizing my time. But we don't have to. What we should be doing is what is most important to me right now. What will bring me the greatest degree of happiness? And sometimes it's doing those annoying little tasks that are bugging you that you have to do. They're not fun tasks. But if you can just get them out of the way, or you can just get started on them, or you can just get one off that to-do list, you're going to start to feel better. And then you can move on to more of those tasks that you can enjoy with maybe a clean conscience. I know that that's what works for me. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's session. I've got an article on Medium, which I'll also link I'll link it to my website. That way people don't need the paywall. And so, I've got a few extra tips in there as to how you can get through things when you're not feeling the best, when life has thrown a couple of curveballs at you, when you're feeling a little overwhelmed and sort of stuck. How can we get unstuck? And I also highly recommend the book 4,000 Weeks, and I'll put a link to that in my description as well. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I look forward to chatting with you. Oh, actually, before I go, if you have any tips that have worked for yourself, if there's been times when you've been stuck and unable to move forwards, what have you done? Because it is different for everyone. Not everything that works for me is going to work for other people. So if something's worked for you, I'd love to hear it. I'm always open to trying something new. Maybe it works and I can add it to my toolkit of looking after myself. Or maybe it doesn't, but it's something I might be able to suggest to somebody else, and that might be the one thing that they need to hear at that moment. So with that, thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.